Okay, let's get a live report from our correspondent in Plateau State, Sifon Esien. Hello, Sifon. Good morning. Sifon, good morning. Hi.
Good morning, family. Yeah, so far so good. It's been peaceful and calm in all the areas we've visited. Security has been top notch. The police have been leading other security forces to tighten security, enforcing the ban on movement at this hour. So far, it's been calm.
Well, Sifon, Plateau State is peculiar because before this election, we know the kind of news that has been coming out of Plateau State, the insecurity, the attacks in Mangu, Bokkos, Barkin Ladi. How did all of these impact the election in terms of turnout and also the security arrangements provided to ensure a peaceful conduct of the election?
Well, largely we've seen a case of voter apathy. In many of the polling centers or units that we visited, even as up till 11, 12, many voters yet to turn up. Unlike the one behind me where you have a good number of persons turning up to cast their ballot. In many other places, and the voters were not just there at the time we expected them to be there. In other words, the electoral officers were at the units waiting for the voters to turn up, and for many, voters were not turning up. In terms of security, it has been cool and calm, like the security agents would say. There's been no infraction coming from areas where could be described as volatile. For now, law enforcement agents are on their toes. The mandate is that they must maintain the law and ensure there is no infraction capable of undermining the process in Plateau State. And shortly I'll be bringing one of the stakeholders here who's spoken extensively on the security situation. If you permit me now,
go ahead,
I'll bring in Dan Choji, and we're going to be talking about the security of Plateau State and where you are. How would you describe the efforts of law enforcement agency in managing security at this moment?
Seriously, at this moment, I will give credit to the security and law enforcement agencies. So far, it has been a very, very wonderful election. Very peaceful so far. We have not seen any noise anywhere so far. Everywhere, people are still queuing and voting. So far, there's a very good compliance.
Now, we've also seen cases of the electoral officers showing up at their duties, but voters are not showing up as expected. Doesn't that worry you?
Well, it's a worrisome something because actually people thought as usual that the electoral officers are coming as late as usual. But it is very surprising today that they came very early and they are already at the polling booths before even voters come around. I am a resident of Turnout, Congo, Russia. This is my neighboring community. I came round to see the situation at Bauchi Road and Angorogo particularly. So I give credit to INEC this time around for coming up, bringing the ad hoc staffs on time.
Now, one more question from me, back to security. There have been fears that certain areas are considered volatile, and managing those areas at this moment might be a daunting task for security forces. But so far, so good, it has been calm. What would you say has happened?
Well, I am even surprised at what is going on. Because, because we have a divide of the Christian communities where I come from. And then the Bauchi Road, Angorogo, where predominantly is a Muslim community. And so far, there is nothing like violence anywhere. So I'm even surprised because before today, we thought this election will bring or come up with so many issues. But by the look of things, of the truth, everywhere is very calm. And there is a movement. Like you can see, I'm a Christian and I'm at Bauchi Road, Angorogo area. I came to see, to observe what is going on. And it has been so peaceful. Nobody attacked me or anything. It is a very peaceful election. And I can see other Christians passing by through Bauchi Road. I give kudos to the indigents of Jos North local government today, because we have seen a very, very different thing entirely. It has been very peaceful, even though there is a low turnout, voter apathy, so to say, just like your reporter have mentioned. But I believe with a little time, people will definitely come out, because we didn't expect that the INEC are coming as early as this. So I believe so many people thought there is a very large queue. That is why they are not on ground now. But I believe before the end of the day, people will come out and vote.
On that peaceful and positive note, coming from Plateau State, we expect that the situation will continue on that note. There have also been fears earlier of calls for boycott by the Inter-Party Advisory Committee.
Yeah. I was going to ask you that.
Of a particular party on that case. Well,
Advisory
Council, I beg your pardon.
I was going to speak on that, Sifon, if you can hear me. Yeah, I was going to speak on that now, and that's asking parties to boycott the election because the People's Democratic Party was not included in the ballot. And that's because of a January 29 order from the Federal High Court removing the People's Democratic Party from that contest. And then there's been fake news around Just Town, Just North, where you are, asking people to boycott the process. Could it also be one of the reasons why it appears as if voters have not turned out as expected?
Yet we would say it's still too early to conclude. There's been that call for boycott, but we've equally seen persons come out and against all odds to make their votes count at this moment. So it may not be safe to say the voter apathy or the low turnout is as a reason of the boycott. We also gather from sources that even those who called for boycott have equally now thrown their weight behind certain political interests at the moment. But so far, so good. The process is going on smoothly, devoid of violence against fears.
Well, Sifon, the person you spoke with earlier was talking about that particular place. It appears as if it's one of the volatile areas in Jos North. Am I correct? And what's the mood around there? How the people around there, how do they feel? Is there a sense of safety, or is there still tension? What can you sense?
Well, there's no air of tension or fear in this location at the moment. This place is actually very critical considering the political climate of the state and the security, calculations in certain quarters, along religious lines. This is considered predominantly a Muslim area, but we have persons who are non-Muslims coming here to vote. So we have seen a case of tolerance and understanding, and persons expressing their commitment to the success of the entire process and peace in Plateau State.
Well, beyond this area where elections are holding, what's the general security in Jos or in Plateau State now? You've also moved around and seen major roads and all of that. What are you seeing in terms of security arrangement to also ensure that these attackers do not take advantage of this election to launch another attack in some of these rural communities that have been ravaged lately?
In terms of physical security, we've seen massive deployment of law enforcement agents led by the police and the Nigerian army, with all of their equipment on strategic location or at strategic locations in the metropolis and outside of the metropolis, as far as Barkin Ladi, in places that would have been considered volatile. And law enforcement agents who engaged with them have, stuck to the rules of engagement. This is a civil exercise, so they've been as civil as possible in managing, number one, movement, and number two, the process, talking about the vote casts or the voting at the various centers. So the physical presence of law enforcement agents, to an extent, many have said, is serving as a deterrent for anyone who might want to foment trouble. We also understand that there are other law enforcement agents undercover in Mufti, distributed in all the areas where this exercise is taking place. So far, so good It's been peaceful. They've been able to manage the situation. There has been no appeal to violence, no breakdown of law and order.
Well, Sifon, you also the security and defense correspondent, and you have extensively covered or reported conflicts in Nigeria and how security agencies are working to quell and forestall a reoccurrence of such in parts of the country. How is the special operations by the police doing in restoring peace and calm to the troubled areas in Plateau State?
Well, we gathered that the law enforcement agents, especially like the Special Intervention Squad, coming all the way from Abuja to other parts, and the special arrangements also made in Plateau State have, taken the step where investigation is not higher. In places like where violence had been recorded in the past 2 weeks, or renewed violence, Mango and Bokos and the likes, so far so good. They've been able to manage the situation. While more arrests, we gathered more arrests have been made, and the police is going to, announce that shortly after now, and that is leading to the arrest of more persons in connection with violence as we've seen in this state. So far, we believe that has served as an example or as an element of deterrent for those who may want to start another round of violence in the state or engage in any activity capable of undermining the peace.
Well, indeed, Sifon Esien, thank you so much for your time and the brilliant reporting you're doing there in Plateau State. We'll join you again shortly to get live updates from another location that you might be at that time. Thanks, Sifon, and stay safe. Well, Essien Wagum, moving on now. Before Sifon joined us with that live reporting from Plateau State, we were also having our own conversation talking about the multi-stakeholder and engagement in supporting the electoral committee.